Ahoy there, Elder Scrolls Legends fans! I'm Dead Broke Nerd, and I have here for you today a deck that I've been playing to really good success on the ladder and in the gauntlet. I went 8-3 on the run that I took this into the gauntlet with, and one of those was due to my own stupidity, one of those losses. I also had a great run with this on stream last Friday, where I went 10-2 with it, I believe. The deck is excellent. There is still some margin for error, so obviously you're going to have to learn the deck a little bit and kind of figure out where the combos are and stuff like that. But I actually decided when I looked at this deck, everybody was in on the Old Salty's or Salty's Assault or whatever it's called. Old Salty's Assault. And I really wanted to do a deck with this, but without going full Dwemer. Okay, never go full Dwemer. That's a lie. Dwemer's awesome, but don't go full Dwemer in this deck because I decided, I don't think you need Dwemer to make Old Salty's Assault very, very powerful. Now, obviously, you read it, summon one of each Mudcrab from your deck. It's basically a mini conscription, and it only pulls Mudcrabs, but good news, we do have the old standby Reflective Automaton. He pretends to be a Mudcrab because he's a robot who is a shape-shifting robot, I guess. I don't know how that's actually supposed to work, but either way, he reads on life scanners as a as a Mudcrab for the purposes of Old Salty Assault. So you fill a lane with 4 creatures. Now, that's a great value, right? You guys have probably seen plenty of Old Salty decks, so I'm not going to spend too much time telling you why it's good to just drop a bunch of Mudcrabs, but instead, I'm going to tell you why I didn't go Dwemer and what I'm doing instead. So instead of going Dwemer, what I've decided to do is, hence the name Surf and Turf. We got the Mudcrabs for the Surf, but for the Turf, we're basically taking a beefy Sorcerer lineup, right? So taking those big beefy creatures from Sorcerer. So I'm talking Discerning Thief at 3-4 stat line. Manic Jack, basically a 4-4, but he grows whenever you give him keywords. We've got the Skinned Hound to hand out guard and +2 defense. We got the 2 Bleak Coast Trolls, and then, and this is killer, this is where I started when actually I was designing this deck, we have the Hulking Fabricant. Okay, so if you have a neutral card in play, it's an 8-8 for 5, okay? This is like 4 mana 7-7 meme, but 5 mana 8-8, and honestly, this thing ringed out on 4 is nuts, okay? We're only running 2 because of the prerequisite associated with it. We don't want our hand to get too clunky. Every once in a while, if you have too big of a top end, you risk bricking your hand. It happens. It's happened a couple times, but I've played like, I don't know, 30, 40 games of this thing so far, so like, it's rare, but it happens, so we backed it down to 2 for this list, and same with Old Salty's Assault, it's just running the 2 copies. But the point is, you can actually get this out pretty reliably, get some big chonk down on the board to pair with your really go-wide Mudcrabs, okay? It makes for a very dynamic sort of setup when you say, okay, I've got these types of threats, I'm going wide over in this lane, I'm going tall over in this lane, so you can Dawn's Wrath the wide lane, or you can Javelin the tall creature, but you can't do both, okay? That's the idea, right? It actually works pretty darn well. We've got the Covenant Mail as a prophecy, and what's really cool here is because if you mobilize it and you put it on a recruit, the recruit is a neutral. So when you have the neutral, you actually can still buff it with the Dwarven Dynamo or utilize it as your neutral for the Hulking Fabricant. In the same fashion, Sentinel Reclaimer hands you a Steel Dagger and a Steel Sword. Now, the Steel Sword is blue, but the Steel Dagger is not blue. The Steel Dagger is neutral, and so that as well will count for Hulking Fabricant. It's actually just really, really cool to see how this works out. Now, obviously, because we're using the Reflective Automaton and we have a way to tutor it out thanks to Old Salty's Assault, we're, of course, using the Alfiq Conjurer. The Alfiq Conjurer being able to consume it and summon a Storm Matchnock instead of just a Flame Matchnock. Now, I know you guys are sick of Conjurers, but it feels really good in this deck as a nice little top end to seal off this aggro deck, right? And it is aggro. I mean, you can probably tell we've got a lot of things that buff, we've got a lot of things that make good trades, and a lot of just good stat distributions. Generally, we're higher on the back end than we are on the front end. Then we have some things to trick the aggro matchups, so like the Shrieking Harpies, the Sorcerer's Negations, the Word Crafters, to make those favorable trades and leverage our board state to where they can't come back. Now, I will tell you, there's a few things you could do. If you don't like Dwarven Dynamo in here, I've loved it so far because there's just enough neutrals that I think Dwarven Dynamo is worth running at 2. If it's a little too risky for your liking, you can cut the Dynamos, you can put in all sorts of things, you can increase your Hulking Fabricant up to 3. I think these two generally serve in a similar fashion, but you can kind of take the Dynamo out if you want. You can put in another Sentinel Reclaimer. You could go and put in some Daggerfall Mages. I generally probably wouldn't play Daggerfall Mage, but I know some people are really, really into it. But anything that wants to hand out keywords is solid. That's why we're running the Royal Sage, which, by the way, is great on an old salty lane. But you can also go for something like the Crown Quartermaster if you want to increase your 1-drops, right? You'll note that we're only running 4 1-drops. We're running 2 Mudcrabs at the 1s, right? That could be increased. You could go to 3 Mudcrab Merchants. If the Mudcrab Merchant typically gives you good deals, then go to 3 Mudcrab Merchants there. You know, there's a lot of choices of the 1s and 2s and 3s, and this is definitely sorted to my personal preference, but either way, there's things you can move around. I've heard feedback from some people who've been playing my deck. They've been reported doing really well with it. I know Michael Knight played a really successful run on the arena, as well as somebody else messaged me saying they liked the deck. But High King Emmerich, a couple people have noted that hasn't been performing super well for them. I would push back a little bit on that. I think Emmerich is a really, really strong card no matter what. Even when you don't have another ward down, a 5/5 that deals 2 damage to either face or a creature, the flexibility there is really valuable, besides the fact you can always get ward off of things like Royal Sage, the mutations, the ward crafters. There's enough ways to get ward that I think it's worth it. So that is the deck, the Surf and Turf. We've got Beefy Boys and we got the Mudcrabs. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to roll into a game or two right now to show you how it plays. If you enjoy it, please hit the like button. Feel free to comment and even subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of my videos. That would help me out so much, guys. But even if you don't, I'm always happy to hear feedback on the deck. If you say, hey, DBN, I really would like, I like this card in the deck, and here's why, I want to hear it because I'm happy to test it. I'm always doing the little tinkerings with the deck, so I'm always excited to hear what works for you guys. Anyways, here's the Surf and Turf. Hope you guys like it. Alrighty, looks like we've got a game. Let's see what our opponent is on. They're playing Battle Mage. Well, that's fairly predictable. Somewhat standard. Everybody loves Battle Mage. Probably the strongest class right now in general. Just so many strong ways to play it. So we have a 1, 2, and a 4. The question is, do we want to keep this Royal Sage in our opening hand? Because we do have, like, we've got the plays. They're not, like, insanely resilient, and I think I'd much rather get like a 3-drop, a good 3-drop here, or even like a salty. So that's a 3. So we have a nice little curve here, especially if our opponent has some bad early flops. Like, we're gonna be in a great spot. So there's Jack. He's gonna play the Mudcrab Merchant to lead. So we can get the Tel'Vos Magister or the Lay Down Arms. I think Tel'Vos Magister is just way better for us. Because it does have ward. It's a resilient body that we can push damage with. But it also is way worse if our opponent has it and can start putting wards on their face. That's a problem for us. I think Lay Down Arms is a little overpriced for what it does. And so if we go wide, Lay Down Arms sucks against us. So we're just going to grab the Tel'Vos Magister. We did take our time, though. And sometimes with Mudcrab, I like to instantly pick. And sometimes I like to sort of take my time. It's a placebo thing, but I think if you take your time, it makes them really think that there's something weird about it. So that's interesting. That was a rapid shot into a Sharpshooter Scout. Really wants to clear my Mudcrab for some reason. I'm going to go ahead and play the Skin Hound over here and reinvest in this lane. Sharpshooter Scout is an odd one, right? I never know exactly what to expect from Sharpshooter Scout. Sometimes it used to be really universally good, and now it's typically just played in like Prophecy, and it's often cut out of Prophecy. The main thing it's been played in for a long time was Doomcrag, and of course Doomcrag being not super relevant anymore. This is starting to look like Prophecy Battle Mage to me. That's 2 Prophecy cards that we've seen now. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's what we're playing against. So when we're playing against Prophecy Battle Mage, we want to just run them out of resources and build a big, wide board. The question I have right now is, what do I want to actually play like this turn? I don't have like a Ward Crafter, otherwise I would make my decision really, really easy. If I play Jack and I don't roll Ward with Manic Mutation, then I have to trade with the Recruit, which doesn't feel very good. But either way, I probably want to play one of my 3-drops because I'll just be able to play the other one afterwards. So I'd say we lead with the Discerning Thief. If we pick up a ward crafter, that's really, really good, right? We can deal with this. But for now, we're just going to be happy to take this trade. Like I said, we really want to slow him down. It's a great thing we have the Tel'Vos Magister to do just that. We're going to see a rapid shot come down and another sharpshooter? Interesting. This just doesn't seem like a particularly strong investment in my opinion. But yeah, this is 100% Prophecy Battle Mage. Oh, we did pick up Ward Crafter. That is excellent. So we're going to ward there. We drop that down in the lane. I think I want to... Do I want to use this Harpy or not? We're going to take 4 more damage, but I'm probably okay with that. But if we're talking like Magicka efficiency, right? Like, Shrieking Harpy probably is more useful on the board sooner rather than later. I mean, we know we're going to be getting hit face pretty hard, so we probably just want to spend our things... Like, we don't want to float Magicka against this, I don't think. Just for, like, you know, unidentified future risks, if that makes sense. So we're just going to shackle that so we don't take as much damage. You know, slow the tide of aggression from our opponent. We do have the Tel'Vos Magister, which is going to be really, really nice. Okay, so that's a Mystic Dragon. My opponent's going to take a trade here. Usually as Prophecy BM, you don't have time to trade. Alright, that's an Alfiq Conjure. That's really good. So we're going to just clean up field. I think I want to actually hit here, and I know that like that's really a bad idea usually. But if I do, I can ditch the Reflective Automaton without having to play it. And then next turn I'll have the Alfiq ready to go. I don't have to trade it first. I mean, maybe... Like, because I think we're just going to jack with mutations. It's certainly risky. Like, general rule of thumb, you never hit a Prophecy BM face because they can use their cards to trigger their own runes. It's just really tempting to cycle one extra, you know, one more deep and put this in the grave. Right now, if I played Jack and the Automaton, it would... Okay, we're just gonna play it safe here. But that's a play that you can make, like, in the, you know, in the future, like not in this matchup. That's a really great play to make, is discard the Reflective Automaton for the Thief, since you know Alfiq needs to use it. So yeah, we're not going to hit. This isn't really how the deck wants to play, but everything comes to a grinding halt when you play against Prophecy Battle Mage. The best thing is, Lay Down Arms is pretty bad for them. If they use it here, like they spend their entire turn protecting a Mystic Dragon, which, you know, I'm just gonna mess with later. Like, it's just not a good situation. See, okay, this is great. This tells us we absolutely made the correct decision. We absolutely made the right decision there, not attacking, because that would have broken his rune there. So we're gonna trade.
Too slow.
And then, do I want to Tel'Vos Magister, or do I want to Alfiq? So Tel'Vos Magister actually really messes up my opponent's ability to drive more damage. But Alfiq does the same thing, but Alfiq dies to this Afflicted Elite. And I'm trying to think what the worst case scenario is. Like, I think right now, theoretically, the Tel'Vos Magister blocks it because he's got no other damage here. So we're going to play the Tel'Vos Magister, get the ward on the face. Like, doesn't have any rapid shots. You know, even if he did, can only damage creatures. Okay, so that's going to take 2 away. We will take 3. And so now we're going to go ahead and work towards playing some more threats on the board. I could Manic Mutations try to find Drain. My opponent's literally top decking right now. I think we want to go Alfiq Conjurer over here.
We're
going to get rid of our Reflective Automaton, like the plan was. we're going to play our Mudcrab. No, I don't want to play Mudcrab Merchant. Don't want to do that. I think I want a Manic Mutation. Drain? Ooh, that's mighty tempting. We're going to wait on... oh, gosh. If I hit a Prophecy here...
Beware.
How bad is that?
You swim in troubled waters.
I mean, it's almost certainly a Prophecy, right? But... Oh! My opponent's just going to scoop. I think he saw which way the wind was blowing. My thought was that if my opponent played the... you know, the spell that I gave him that takes everything down to 1/1, then we'd kind of waste the drain. But worked out really well in our favor. Let's go ahead and play another game. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, this time we're playing against Tribunal. That can be a tough one. Tribunal is probably amongst the best decks in the game right now. Definitely a very strong candidate. Now, do we want to keep this Manic Jack or dig for a 2-drop? I think usually we want to dig for a 2-drop. We do have Mudcrab. Yeah, we'll go ahead and dig for a 2-drop because we don't have the Ring of Magicka. Well, that's a very crabby opener. We do have the Dwarven Dynamo. So let's go ahead and start with just a regular Mudcrab. See how my opponent answers.
I smell
It's going to be a Barrow Stalker. Okay. I mean, that's not super great, but it's also not the end of the world. What I can do is I can play the Ankle Snapper over here, or I can play the Mudcrab Merchant over here to contest it and see what we draw, but I can't play another card after that. Because if I play the Mudcrab Merchant over here, everything trades into that Barrow Stalker. I definitely don't want to play the Ankle Snapper field. That's just not a discussion, because then the Barrow Stalker will trade with this, and then we'll also be able to trade with Mudcrab. We won't be able to get through. So I think we just play the Merchant, actually. And next turn, we'd be able to play... Oh, you know, next turn is turn 3. We'd be able to play both of these together. I think we'll go ahead and go Mudcrab over here, because next turn I think what we'll do is we'll plan to go play this Mudcrab here and then Harpy that. Do I want to make this trade now? I don't think I do. I think I want to... Well, if my opponent is a Wardcrafter, it's worse. I think if my opponent Wardcrafters this, I'm okay. I think I'm fine with that.
Wrong place.
I think that's a little weak to Wardcrafter to stop 1 damage. Or, well, 2 damage, but... Unless that's your only play, in which case it's not a bad play, right? Okay, so we have a negation, which isn't that helpful. So I think we Mudcrab and see what we get.
Talking Mudcrab Merchant. Read my lips.
Okay, we don't have any 0-drops in our deck. My opponent might have Cruel Firebloom, but I think we'd rather take the Gnarl Rootbender no matter what, because we do have Manic Mutations in the deck to potentially get some card draw. So we'll take the Gnarl Rootbender. After that, we will swing for 3, and then I'm going to play the Shrieking Harpy. Also Shadow. It does suck that we're pushed to Shadow this early. Next turn we do have the Dwarven Dynamo to buff up one of these guys. It's going to be a Firestorm. Did not expect to see that, and that's really bad for us. That's really, really bad. Okay, so now we're just going to go Reflective Automaton Sorcerer's Negation, because we kind of have to. Haven't seen Firestorm and Tribunal for a while, but Penitus Oculatus isn't really standard either, so probably a budget build. There's the Emperor's Blade. Now, the good news here is that we can cheat this trade thanks to our friend the Dwarven Dynamo. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and blow that boy up. Next turn, I have the Bleak Coast and Skintown, which is nice. Vigilant Ancestor will come down. How would I wish to deal with this? I have the Sentinel Reclaimer, which can put an item here so that I could trade like that. Afterwards, I would not be able to play anything else. So I'm still thinking that Bleak Coast Skinned Hound is the play. We're just going to unfortunately lose our Reflective Automaton. So we're going to go like this. I want to play Bleak Coast. I think... So a Piercing Javelin is probably going to blow up our Bleak Coast Troll, right? So we don't necessarily want to... We don't necessarily want to put the guard on the Bleak Coast if it's just going to get javelined, right? We're also very susceptible to Ice Storm, because if I put the Bleak Coast over here and give it guard, it goes up to 7. This takes it right back down to 3, and then they Ice Storm. So potentially, here's the play. We're going to swing for 2. We're going to put the Bleak Coast out, and we're just going to Skinned Hound in the field lane to absorb these 2 trades. These guys have been kind of ticking our health total down, so we're going to try to see if we can't stop that from happening anymore.
Wrong place.
Okay.
Stroll.
There's an Edict. Now, like I said, we kind of expected some cards like that to come out. I want to go Reclaimer.
Well, let's see if we can find something useful.
Sword, dagger, swing. We have to put the aggression out because we're running low on cards. So I have this Gnarl Rootbender, and I kind of want to wait till I have to play it. So if I can play other things first, I'd like to do that. That's an Edict on a 1 defense creature. That's pretty good. We have a Discerning Thief and a Gnarl Rootbender. At this point, we're going to play both of these creatures out. So we're going to go swing for 2. And then I believe what I want to do is play the Rootbender Field and the Discerning Thief Shadow. We don't want to put both of these in Shadow because of the Dawn's Wrath that my opponent will be able to play next turn. That doesn't mean they have it. It just means they could have it. And that would be really, really devastating to lose both of the creatures we just played. Especially with how low we are on resources. So we're going to go here and pass. So right now, the Goblin Skulk, it's going to need a little bit of help to remove our Gnarl Rootbender. Of course, right now, we have a good board against Ice Storm, or rather, an okay board against Ice Storm, because neither of these are going to die instantly. That is Edict number 3, guys. That's three Edict of Azuras, which really sucks, considering we just drew a mutation. However... we did get the redeeming... Was this able to put anything in hand? It doesn't look like it. We have the redemption of being able to play Old Salty's Assault. We're going to 100% do that right now. We're going to put it over here. And if my opponent has... that's a Portcullis. This Portcullis is a big pain in the butt. Because if my opponent just drops it... Ooh, I can't... I really don't want to give a Leaf Lurker out. But I think Leaf Lurker is honestly the best one to give to my opponent. If I give my opponent a Portcullis, they still do have to play it. And I've got a lot of damage on the board. I think, I think I just take the Leaf Lurker because it's another creature with a stat block.
Let's put these
We're going to do the crab attack. Oh man, we picked up another Jack. We're going to discard one of the mutations. Then we're going to swing for 2. We're going to play Jack.
Behold,
and we're going to mutate Jack.
Magnificent monster.
And we get Ward. That's really, really, really good. That's really good here. This board got a lot better. That's an Ice Storm. Okay. We still do have 2 creatures left, so maybe they have like a Channeled Storm or something to get rid of our Discerning Thief. No, they don't. That's excellent. That's really, really good. We're going to play the Alfiq, probably. I do want to do this first, I think. Jack would be our prime target to discard right now. Oh, we just got Onkano. I think we just have lethal. Unless this is a prophecy, we just have lethal because we picked up the Ancano. We're going to discard Jack. We're going to swing for 4, and then we drop the Ancano to seal the deal against this Tribunal. Good game.